Hey everybody, this is Dan Krull back for episode 9 of the Britt, Kanawha, West Hancock podcast. Thanks for watching. If you want to YouTube my name on YouTube to watch any of the prior episodes, go ahead and do that. That'd be great. Last month I talked to John DeLeon, a Kanawha legend and Central College coach. We had a great time talking about Kanawha and Central. Today, though, I have members of the 1986 Girls State Championship golf team, and then the daughter of the coach, Mr. G, Bob Grandgenett, with us today. So thanks, ladies, for coming out to do this with me.
Thanks for having
Before we
us.
get to it, though, our sponsor for tonight is Coach DeWard's son, Sean DeWard. He's graciously sponsoring this episode. He's like I said, the son of Don, who I interviewed last month. He was very appreciative of us doing these podcasts, so he wanted to give to the Sanger Legacy Fund. Sean is the owner of Central Tire and Auto in Pella. They're the pillar of their community. They're a leader in offering name brand tires, wheels, and auto repair services for customers in Pella, Knoxville, Oski, and surrounding areas. Their goal is to focus on customer service. Take a moment, look at their website, or call them at 641-620-1417 for service. Before we get to the golf team here, just an update on West Hancock Athletics. Middle school boys and girls track. The 7th grade boys and 7th grade girls won the conference championships this last week. The 8th grade girls took 6th, and they only had 4 girls on their team this year. The 8th grade boys were 5th place at the conference meet. Boys track is currently at state. The boys only took 1 event this year, which is the shuttle hurdle, but they were 4th in the prelims today, so they qualified for the finals. Coach Mark Sanger's girls team took 5 events to state, and it's actually today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Kennedy Kelly in the 400 hurdles, the shuttle hurdle, the 4x4. Mallory Lear made it in the high jump, and Ann Horseman made it in the discus. Boys golf ended their season this last week at sectionals. They placed 7th as a team. Justin Osborne led the team with 109 as his score in an 18-hole meet. Girls golf, they actually did not field the team this year. They didn't have any girls go out. So hopefully they can get some kids out for the next season. Maybe this podcast will inspire a couple of them to go out for next year. Before we get started, though, the Sanger Legacy Fund was created to honor the late, great Coach Bob Sanger and his wife and former teacher, Mrs. Linda Sanger. They both taught and coached, as we all know, at Britt and West Hancock for 50-some years and impacted thousands of lives, including the ladies here. The Legacy Fund raises money to help the communities of Britt and Kanawha, and more specifically the school and athletic departments and activities. Please consider giving to the Sanger Legacy Fund by going to sangerstrong.com. If you want to give regularly, you can automate your giving. And thanks again to Alex DeWard for updating the Sanger Strong website so people can give easily. If you want to sponsor the podcast, just get a hold of me, give at sangerstrong.com, and you can be a sponsor for this podcast. Here we go. Ladies, thanks again for coming on. I'm excited to talk about the 1986 state championship golf team. I have 4 of the 5 members of the varsity team on right now. We're hoping Mona will join us here at some point. And then, like I said, a guest, Mr. G's daughter. So let's go around and introduce ourselves. We'll start with, I don't care who, but if one of you want to just jump on and say which one you are, who you are, and then where you're living these days and what's kind of keeping you busy in life. So maybe we'll just start with Lisa just to make it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Lisa, I live in Iowa City, Iowa, and my husband and I, we started a staffing business. So we have our business in Muscatine, but we have 5 surrounding offices around the southeast Iowa area. So I kind of still help Craig a little bit with that and stuff. But my kids are, and I've got a daughter that's grown and working now, and a son at Iowa State. He'll be a senior next year. So they kind of keep me busy with that. So
yeah, no kidding. Let's move over to Sandy. We'll kind of go clockwise around.
Hey, hi everybody. So good to see you guys. Thanks, Dan, for having us. I'm Sandy Fisher. Carter was my maiden name when I was on the girls team, and I'm married to Chris Fisher, who is an 85 grad. He's standing right over there dying for screen time right now.
He'll be on another episode. He'll be good.
And now he's gonna kill me. Anyway, we live in Kansas City, if I didn't say that already. we've moved around a few times, but we've lived here since '09 due to his job transfers. We have 3 kids. We have Zach, who's 24 in the broadcasting world. I have Nick, 23, still in college. And then I have Sammy, who is a freshman in college. And I used to be a teacher, but I've been in the real estate industry since 2002.
Okay, and then we'll go down to Jolynn.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you guys for including me. I'm so touched by all this, and it's so exciting to see everybody. So I live in Wheaton, Illinois, and I am a mammographer, and I work at a local hospital. And I have 2 kids. I have one who just finished her sophomore year at U of I, but it's the Illinois U of I. And I have my youngest just graduated her junior year in high school. So she's still trying to figure out, what she's going to do with her life. And I did bring one accessory for everybody to see.
Oh,
yes.
Yep, I have this, and it lives on a shelf where I see it all the time. And I think about you guys. And when it came to, breaking everything down from Dad's house, my brother thought specifically I really needed to have that because you guys are, my crew. So super proud of you.
All right, welcome. And Amy switched over on my screen at least, so we'll go over to Amy where Jolynn was on the screen. Oh, I think she's frozen. Might have a technical difficulty here. How about you go ahead, Tammy, and we'll see if we can get Amy back on.
Okay, that sounds great. I'm Tammy Kanawha Steve. I live in Highland, Illinois, with my husband, and of 30 years. We just celebrated this year. And we have 5 fabulous boys, ranging from 17 to 28. They are all locally, and I love that. They are my world. I have worked for our school district for the past 13 years, and I've just taken over a new position in our district as a data specialist. I've also been in the coaching world, either by managing or actually coaching for 14 years. And now that my boys, I've got one that's going to be a senior, that will be his last year. And everybody keeps asking, are you going to get out of soccer? And I probably won't. I'll probably continue. It's my passion. All of my kids do play golf, some more than others. We kind of do that on special events. We don't do it together often, and neither do I, but maybe sometime now that things are settling down, we will get back into the sports. But camping right now has kind of been our go-to. So that's me.
It looks like Amy's back. Amy, you there? Can you hear us, see us? You froze for a minute, so yes.
Everybody else froze on my screen. So I'm Amy Poss. I was Amy Miller when I was golfing in Britt. And I live in Arnold's Park, Iowa. I have 2 kids, Tara, who is 17, and Sam, who is 16. So just finishing junior year and finishing sophomore year. And I run a sign company. That's why my thing says Amy Signs instead of Amy Poss. And I've been doing that for 28 years. So
Awesome. Well, again, I'm just grateful you guys all came on here. I love my Britt, West Hancock, Kanawha athletics, and anytime there's a state championship involved or something close to it, we got to talk. So just to give some context, 1986, I added this to the notes just today, by the way, so sorry for this. I was born 4 months after you guys won the state championship. But I'm sure you remember my parents, Piccadilly Circus Pizza. That was my mom and dad.
Oh,
Mark's
yeah.
Pizza.
Yum.
Yep.
That was, the highlight of the town, I'm sure.
It was.
It was.
The top songs of 1986. That's What Friends Are For by Dion and Friends. Say You, Say Me by Lionel Richie. And the top movies were Rocky IV, Out of Africa, and Iron Eagle. To build a house in 1986 was $89,000. And gas was 89 cents a gallon. So just to give some context to the year. I figured that'd be fun, especially since you did this before I was born. So been there. So just before this season, growing up, did you guys play a lot of golf as kids? Did you just pick it up in high school? I know Britt always had a course because it was built in the '60s. What was it like for you guys before you got to this level of success?
Well, my parents golfed. So I know Amy, your parents and our parents were involved. Well, probably and your grandparents were involved in the making of the Britt golf. Well, probably your dad too, Tammy, with the making of the golf course. But I know your grandpa probably was involved, Amy, with that golf course. But
Yep.
okay, my parents both golfed, and well, I mean, a lot of our parents did. So we spent a lot of time at the golf course, and then I had 3 older brothers that all golfed. So we were drug out to that golf course. Now, Tammy, I can remember getting into trouble running around the golf course from going to the swimming pool at the Britt pool, and then running to find our dad to get money to buy stuff at the pool. We were always at that golf course. So it was a fun place to be.
It was, yeah. So my parents managed the country club for years.
Oh, God.
And so
I forgot about that.
I forgot.
we lived on the borderline of the Kanawha Britt district. And because where we lived on one side of the road, we went to Britt. The other side of the road went to Kanawha at the time. And so I lived out in the country for many years while my parents ran the country club. So with that being said, I lived at the country club most of the time, and Carl Frick was out there and gave us golf lessons. I mean, Mike and I had to keep busy, and because we were at the country club, so we had to wait till 1 o'clock till the pool opened.
Yep.
And then we moved across the street on Golfview Drive, and that's where Lisa and Beth were. And that's kind of how it all started. But yes,
I can remember getting those golf lessons from Carl Frick, and then that other family that owned the golf course that were from Wesley, Connie. Oh, what was the one? Oh, I can't think of their last name. But they were from the Wesley area. But their son gave us golf lessons too.
Yeah.
You remember when Carl Frick would drive his car on the course everywhere?
Yeah, he would come after us because he felt we were doing something wrong. And we probably were, but
we were.
I remember
driving a car on the course wasn't bad. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. I remember going over to Clear Lake with Tammy Birchka, and we did lessons over there. We just, that was just our passing growing up, was playing golf.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And this is good to document. I'm the golf coach at Interstate 35, and there are years where we don't have a golf team because there's just not kids out for golf. There's no courses in our community. And we went to Lake Panorama for our first meet. I brought 4 sophomore girls who had never touched a golf club before, and it didn't go well, you can imagine. And they said all the girls we played with have been playing since they were 6 or 7, and they were members at this course and this course. And I keep telling them, you just gotta play. So that didn't surprise me. All your answers that we just played. So and I know Sandy, I remember your dad. He was out on the course quite a bit when he wasn't at the school. So
yeah. And I'm not, I just moved to Britt my senior year, so I don't have those historical memories of growing up in that course. But we moved a few times growing up, and any small community we lived in, we definitely belonged to the golf course. Same thing. We were at the pool and the golf course all summer long. So thank you.
Sandy moving to town was definitely the final piece to our puzzle.
It was. She was what glued us all together, because she was our 5th golfer. And I remember, Tammy, do you remember that first time we golfed with Sandy? And we were like, oh my God, we've got our team.
Seriously, it was.
Seriously, Sandy, because I think we might have played that fall.
Likewise, I have later on in my notes somewhere that I was going to say, I was only there for a year, but you guys were amazing. I think you have a question later just talking about, did you form any relationships with any other girls from the other schools? Because you guys would have golfed with these girls for 4 years. I didn't, because I was only there for a year, but these girls right here, big time relationships in just my short year with them. It was great.
Where did you guys move from, Sandy? Where were you guys before Britt?
HLV.
Okay, Victor.
Sort of kind of by Iowa City. Yeah, and I was there freshman year through junior year. But anyway, and then moved to Britt.
How was your golf team at HLV, Sandy?
They were, we were average to above average. We usually did pretty well in the conference. We usually got through sectionals, but never, ever, ever did we make it through regionals to get to state. I did okay individually. But when I moved to Britt, I got my team. No disrespect to my HLV girls at all.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So 1985, so the year before you guys won it, in my research, I see that you were third at the regional meet. Back then, did they take the top two at regionals to state, or was it just the top team? How close were you guys to even making it to state the year before Sandy got there? Do you remember how that season went at all?
You know, I pulled out our yearbook and I remember, I mean, we won the conference that year because
Yeah.
we won the conference. But, and it says we were second at sectionals, and then, what'd you say, regionals, what'd you say?
Third. You were third at regionals.
So we did pretty good because, you know, Amy and Mona were freshmen that year.
Mhm.
So, I mean, but, you know, we lost Brenda, and then, you know, it was just, you know, that solid four. So
Mhm.
I
I
remember Tammy.
for some reason, I'm thinking the girls were held accountable different than the boys were. I thought the girls, to be able to go to state, you had to be like first or second in
Yes.
regionals and then sectionals. You had to be both of them.
Yeah.
Where boys, you know, they
Sectionals was top two, regionals, one
was
is
just one.
medalist in teams, two moved on from sectionals and only one from regional.
That's what it was
Girl
then.
and top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't remember, you know.
So yeah, let's move on to 86. Looking at the yearbook, and then I'm not real techie here, so I'm gonna share my screen real quick. This is what I found and was shared with me by Joanne. Can you guys see that? Your scores from the 86 season. But one of you told me that Garrigan beat you guys that year, so I don't know if this score on top is accurate or you played them more than once. But otherwise, you guys kind of ran through the season undefeated, leading up to conference and then sectionals, regionals, and state. What do you guys remember about these scores and these meets here? Did you guys have like quads or triads, or were they mostly duels? How did your regular season look?
I kind of was looking back. I think all of our regular meets were just duels. And then
I think we did have one, because I found the article. We were at, oh, that was just Webster City, but yeah, you're right. I think they were all duels, but I thought we had one that was a quad.
that could be, there is one on here. I've got the schedule right here. I couldn't tell if, anyway, yeah, most were duels though.
Yeah, most were duels.
I just remember, I don't remember like a lot about just the duels. I do remember at the beginning of the season, because our first meet was rained out against Belmont, and I do remember that. And then we lost to Garrigan. So I kind of remember feeling a little disheartened at that point, but then I guess we put that behind us and
Yeah.
And Garrigan, to my knowledge, has always been good at golf, like boys and girls for decades. So I mean, they were always probably one of the top teams even back then, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
They were always really good, if I remember right. Yes.
Yep. And then one thing that stood out to me, I don't know if, can you see my screen now with the team roster, the photo there? You guys had a big team. It wasn't just the five of you guys and Mr. G. They got 14 girls out. So that's pretty cool for a
Did you
1A
change it?
small school. So what can you tell us anything about these other girls in the picture? Any good stories or memories from the whole team in general? How'd that work too? I'm curious. Did every girl play at every meet? Is that why you did duels and you just had like a varsity and a JV, or how'd that look?
Are you seeing that picture, girls?
No, I still see the scores for the season.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Give me a second.
I might be
I'm not
looking
real
at it
tech savvy. So
scrapbook.
And I've got a team picture too that I'm looking
Is it
at.
that?
Yep, that's the one I have, Sandy. Oh,
There we go. How's that look? Is that better?
You got it? Oh, yeah, there we
Oh
go.
my
Yep,
gosh.
yep.
okay, there we are. Yep.
Yeah, what can
Yep.
do you have any good things
Well-
about the team in general, or how your meets went with, I mean, did you have a full varsity and then a JV, or did you just play varsity? So that's a lot of girls.
Okay, there were some JV meets, but it was always just the 5 of us that usually went. But there was only some, am I kind of correct on this, you guys, that there was only some JV meets? But normally it was just Mr. G and the 5 of us in our station wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So during the week, we would have basically considered tryouts of who was going to be going to the next
Yep.
meet.
Yep.
And based off of our scores would determine who was going to be playing. And there were some games, even though we were a dual meet, there were your top 5 that would score for varsity. And then there were other girls that were on the team also that got to play, and then they would be considered JV. But, and you know, we had a lot of them like that.
Yep.
Because that's different from now, because it's top 4 scores, but you can play 6 people on your team. That was a
Okay.
little bit different. Yeah. The clothing
And
some
we
of you
would
were
all, we
wearing.
all knew the
The
people that
clothing.
were on the team too. I mean, we knew everybody. I mean, everyone, but it seemed like a majority of them were sophomores. It looks like the girls that were on that, sophomores, maybe some freshmen, and yeah, maybe Alyssa, like, yeah, some of the girls in the back, like, but
Yep.
yeah, I can't remember all their ages, but
And listen, Dan, fashion in the 80s was, it rules all, so please.
Mhm.
I'm
we
jealous I
golfed
didn't
it.
get to grow up in the
Oh, we
80s. So
golfed it.
we golfed in that stuff, you guys. I mean, we were
Yeah.
just like, we went to school and then we just golfed in what we went to school in.
Yeah,
Right.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
so funny.
Oh my
Yeah, we had to get out to the golf course to beat the boys. So it was a race.
It
Oh,
was
that's
because we wanted to
right.
get going before the
Yeah.
guys got there.
I know,
Oh,
speaking
yeah.
of the boys, I was gonna say, I know we had a few meets that, and I bet they were varsity only, but that were boy.
Yeah,
girl.
boys
I mean,
were
the
there
boys
too.
Yep.
Played the same team that we played, but we had, I don't know if you guys remember the banter we would have with those boys.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
My brother played, he would have been in junior.
Yes.
Mark Hawk
Yeah.
played. he was
Mark.
a junior.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah.
We had a few bets every now and then. They were good. And clearly score ways, they probably beat us, but it was just fun because we had such a great season with, and
Yeah.
so we would banter with them, and
Yeah.
I think we have a
Yeah.
Because would we take the van at that time when the guys would go? Would we take one vehicle? I can't even remember how we got there with the boys. It seemed
Probably.
like we took the van. I don't know where we put all of our golf clubs though.
Yeah,
but-
I think, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't really remember, but
Yeah.
yeah.
could you
Those
guys
were
hang with the
fun
boys
times.
at times?
Oh, yeah. There's one bet that I still tell my brother that the boys owe us for, because I can't remember. I don't remember what it was, but I mean,
Tammy, do you think you remember?
I'm thinking it probably had something to do with a keg or something.
I'm glad we
I was
can.
gonna say
I'm
it.
glad you said that and not me.
I think the statutes of limitation are passed at this point, so any illegal activity is behind us. So
It never happened. It
Yeah,
never
exactly.
happened.
That's
True,
why they
true.
still owe us.
I know. I know.
and
But
now it would be
Tammy,
legal. So
I thought
yeah.
that you beat the guys one time.
You
on-
did.
on-
I did.
Yes.
And unfortunately, Mr. Timmerman was our coach for the day and Mr.
Oh.
G was gone. And I shot a 39. And
I thought
birthday
you did.
boys. I'm happy that I did that, but I wish Mr. G would have been there.
Yeah.
He was pretty excited.
Mhm.
But I never let the boys, I'm like, Tammy beat you guys and beat you bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. A question that just popped into my mind about your, I don't know if you call it playing styles, but any long ball hitters? Were anyone like really good at putting, short game? What were kind of your strengths and weaknesses? Not weaknesses, but strengths. Obviously, one state. What were kind of your dynamics of your games?
I just remember Sandy. She could hit the crap out of the ball.
Mhm.
I really don't even remember my own. I just remember her coming in and going, oh my gosh.
Well, it's that old cliche, driving for show, chipping and putting for show. If I could have chipped and putted like I drove, but
Yep.
oh well, I'll take driving. Yeah, that was definitely my
That-
strong suit.
Yeah, you were definitely, you could. Yep.
You just had it overall. I remember the first time we got to golf with you, Sandy, and we were on hole number 7 and you got a 3. And I was floored because I was like, how did you get a 3? You were on and 2 and putted it in. I'm like, how did you get a 3 on hole number 7? It was
Yeah.
so impressive. So that's how I remember you golfing from here on out.
I love it. I love that. That's so great. First and last time I ever got a 3 on number 7.
And it was just so much fun. I think we just enjoyed playing, and that was the fun of it, because it never felt like work when
Right.
we were out there. It was like we knew we were a team, and we didn't even really talk about the game before we went to meets, you know.
I don't think any of us knew really how good we were. You know, we just went out and played. You know, Mr. G never, pressured us. He didn't,
No.
he was just more encouraging and just, always was give me some ways to make some changes. But, I think we just went out and we just enjoyed what we were doing. And that's, the result of success for us.
The one thing I remember, he always gave us the golf balls before we started. Remember how he'd give us the golf balls, and he always asked us what number we wanted. I don't know why we were kind of concerned about that. He always would ask, and he'd give us and I remember the only thing he'd say is, go have a good time.
Yeah.
That's all he ever told us. He never said this is a big meet, or he never got us nervous. He just said, go out and have a good time.
I was struggling with putting and
Oh,
I was struggling with putting, and I still say this today when I golf. He always said, pick a blade of grass and roll the ball over it. And that's what I say to myself every time I putt. Pick a blade of grass and roll the ball over it. Who is that?
That's
that's me.
Amy.
I that's either me or Amy.
It looks like
Yeah.
Amy.
I think that's Amy, or is that me? I had those crazy shorts, guys. Remember?
Oh, I know.
Oh my gosh, Hawaiian shorts.
Yeah.
Again, thanks to Joanne Dudgeon at the Britt Facebook page for these pictures.
That's
I thought
awesome.
you'd enjoy them. So
Yeah.
So another story about Mr. G, just as I took notes about the kind of coach I remember him being, and it's just exactly in line. Like, it really was who he was and how he coached, because everything you just said, Tammy, is what I have written down. And he didn't ever let us know how good we were. Golf is such a mental game anyway, and I think he worked so hard on that just as much as our fundamentals when we needed it. But quick story about, if you guys remember this, we were in the maroon station wagon on the state, 2 in the front, 3 in the back, and one of us, it might have been me, turned around and we dug through and we found his clipboard. You guys remember this?
I don't know.
And
I
the
don't
three in
know
the
if I
back
do.
seat, we looked at it really quietly because he had notes, stats, numbers written down. He had all the teams that were going and he had them ranked. And we saw us at the top and how far, not that pre-state tourneys mattered at the state, but he just had our scores from sectional and regionals in there and how much further ahead we had. I mean, I remember this. So I'm like, we're that good. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's probably why I had a bad state tournament. I'm not kidding you, because anyway, and then Mr. G saw that we were looking at it and he was like, girls, that is, I don't want you to see that. I don't want you to think about that. I don't want you anyway.
And you know,
he was amazing. He was great.
and that's interesting to say, Sandy, because without the internet and with everything, we didn't know who we were even playing against.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything about the other teams. We were just going and we were excited to go to state.
Yeah, I mean, and there are some newspaper articles that I'm sure we saw, but I still just don't remember us having a clue that we were about to make some, big things happen at state. I just don't think we had a clue.
I don't think we did either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
like-
you guys, from this article, after we won state, okay, so this is Mr. Stegman writing it. So, it says, this team's potential at the beginning of the season was something of a question mark, but one team member, Amy Miller, predicted the E-Gals would be in the state tournament field. You remember that, Amy?
Yep.
I quoted in the Britt paper.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun.
Yay. Thank you, Amy.
Amy was very bold.
So let's go to the conference meet before we get to the postseason per se. You guys won. Looks like what you're telling me is your second conference championship in a row, 85 and 86. You played at Garner. Sandy was the co-medalist with a 49. She shared that honor with Rita Doan from Osage. You guys won with a team score of 209, and you beat Osage, who scored a 222, so you won by 13 strokes. And the part I wrote down here was that the last place team, Northwood, had a 262, so you only won conference from first place to last place by 53 strokes. And the reason I
Wow.
think that's so fascinating is at state, you beat the next best team by 50. From first to second was 50 strokes, but first to last at conference was 53.
Interesting.
Also at that meet, Mona shot a 51, Lisa a 54, Tammy a 55, and Amy a 56. My question was, first of all, what do you remember from that meet? And secondly, conference is typically an 18-hole meet. Was there weather, or was it always just a 9-hole for conference back then?
And it was always 9 at least.
I think it was always 9.
I think
Okay.
it was too, guys. I can't
It-
remember any.
It was really bad weather that day. Do you guys remember that? It was windy, super chilly. Because I don't think any of us scored like we could have and should have.
No, because that probably wasn't your guys. I mean, not no, it wasn't.
I remember
No.
coming in with that 49, thinking there's no way that was going to be a contender for the medalist. And it was cold and it was windy and I just wanted to be done. And then we came in and we actually had to have a playoff, Dan. So
Okay.
Rita from Osage. And so luckily I nailed her on hole 1. So we all got to leave and go to the A&W with Coach G sooner rather than later. Anyway, that was Mr. G. Yeah, that was another great memory. Do you guys remember sitting there in the booth at the A&W with Mr. G? We all had money to pay. And then in the end, he's like, I'm buying.
always
There's
pay.
just one conference.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were in Belmont. Wait, we were in Belmont?
Belmont.
Where was
Sorry.
where was the E&W
Sorry.
in Belmont? Right on the main drag?
The A&W, that's what I thought it was called, but right on that main.
Yeah. I don't know why I don't remember that. You guys, what I do remember is every time we went on a meet, we had to stop at Casey's. And we just got, that was our big thing. Amy Miller, I
Blue
remember used to
raspberry
eat
slush.
corn nuts all the time.
Corn nuts and Diet Mountain Dew. Yeah, I went after we had heard we were gonna get to do this reunion thing. Honestly, I got a craving for corn nuts. I've had them like 3 times since I knew we were gonna have this meeting. Yep,
I
corn
remember
nuts and
that.
Diet
That
Mountain
is
Dew,
my
baby.
Total memory, Amy, every time corn nuts. And my gosh, that station wagon just had to just stink and we'd just be like high off of Mountain Dew and corn nuts and we play golf,
That was our key to success.
Yeah, there you go, Amy.
Mr. G's patience. Oh my gosh.
He was
Yeah,
so
all he
good.
wanted
He
to do was
always
get home.
stopped and made sure we had food. Yep.
It just cracks me up. I have 2 6-year-old boys, and this reminds me of them to a degree. They went on a field trip the other day, and their best memory was the bus ride. And you're telling me that a state championship win a season, you remember corn nuts. That just kills me. That's hilarious. So not the trophies and the championship so much as just the little things like that. It's great. So yeah, let's move on to sectional meet. You won the meet, obviously, and moved on to regionals with Rockwell Swaledale. It was at Britt is what my research showed me, the sectional meet. So it's nice to have that familiarity with the course. Sandy was the medalist. She shot a 92, won by a stroke over a girl from Rockwell. Mona shot a 95, Tammy with 102, Lisa 104, Amy 108, and you won that by 50 strokes from first to second. Also there, besides Rockwell, was Belmont, Goldfield, Garner, Clemmy, Ventura, and Boone Valley, which most of these schools are combined with each other now or not in existence anymore. What do you remember from sectionals? Again, you guys talked about like, we just went out and played golf, so there probably wasn't much pressure to move on. You just went out and played your game, it sounds like.
That's it.
And I don't really remember that one.
Me neither. I've got a few pictures, so I know we had a lot of family fans there, but I don't remember that.
That one I don't remember, and I don't know why.
Do you know, you guys, what I remember is Dad talking about Mona, and I was hoping she was going to be on tonight because I will never forget how excited he was for her and how well he was always kind of concerned about her, maybe like her standing within your guys's group. And he was so excited about her and how well she did. And, it just tickled him that she had a good day that day.
Mona could pull one out. I mean, and she did on and off throughout the season.
But she's so quiet. And
she was really quiet.
Yeah. Yep.
But we loved her.
And she was good. She was really good. She had the good genes. Her brothers were really good golfers. She had it. Yes.
And I know we'll get into Mr. G a little bit more here later, but like that to me that sounds like what I think makes Britt and Wes Hancock so special is the types of teachers and coaches we had. I'm a Coach Sanger guy. He made the starting all-state fullback feel just as was the guy at the end of the bench was just as important as the starting fullback who was all state. Same with whether you're a number 1 or number 5 on the golf team, or you're an A student or a CD student. All these, we had lots of good people in our lives like that.
We were really
Mr. G was obviously one of them. So, yeah.
And I don't think it, like you're talking about that, you guys. I mean, they always had the number 1 golfer, and then they went you down the line. But you know what? We all kind of, even though we played maybe in the 2nd or 3rd spot, it didn't matter. We just played our golf, and we might have done better than maybe our 2nd one. But he never put a stress on who was number 1 and who was number 5. We were a team. So we were all a team, and we all played together, and we always took care of each other if we had a bad game,
It's so true. I found in a newspaper article, in our entire season, at the very end, our averages were all within a 5-stroke.
Oh my gosh.
46 up to 51.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if somebody was having a bad day,
someone
else slid in.
Someone always picked up the slack.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. And I don't think we weren't bothered by, well, oh my gosh, she's the number 1 golfer or anything like that. We never even talked about that at all. We just went out and we played as a team and not as an individual.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Love that. Oh yeah. Yep.
Let's look at regionals. You guys went to Jewel, which is South Hamilton schools. You shot a 382 as a team. You were 21 strokes ahead of Rhinebeck. They shot a 403. Roland Story shot a 413. North Tama had a 417. Rockwell was a 449, and South Hamilton, the host school, 452. Mr. G in one of the articles I read said it was a wet course that day. Not great weather again, which is typical spring Iowa sports weather. Sandy was the meet runner-up with a 93, and I was confused on this article. I was seeing if you guys could clear this up for me. It said she actually tied with a girl named Kim Sheeta of North Tama, but there was a tiebreaker rule that said you had to have won your sectional to be a regional champ. And I thought Sandy did win the sectional champion. I was really confused by how that went. Do you guys remember what that all meant? The article is very confusing.
I don't have that article that you're referencing. I have that I scored a 93. The medalists scored a 91. So I was runner up, and they only take 1 from regional. But Tammy actually knocked it out at that tournament. She got a 91, tied the medalist.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and that's what I have too.
Qualified because she wasn't playing as an individual in that tournament, even though.
Okay. Okay,
Yep,
yeah, I read
that's
that and
what I
I
have.
made no
Yeah.
sense to me the way it was written out, so, yep, so.
A memory from that, and I'm not sure if I'm clear about this, but I feel like we went to Jewel to play the meet, and then they said, "Oh, we called it off because of the weather,"
Yes.
and we'd driven all the way there. It was pre-cell phone, and
Yeah.
so Mr. J is like, "Well, let's just play since we're here," and we're like, "Oh,
That's
okay." We came
right.
all the way. We played.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was so excited because I shot a 42 and when we were playing in the just for practice, and I didn't do anything close to that when we got there the next time. But I remember him just being like, "Well, we're here. We drove all this way. You know, if doesn't matter if the game's not on, we're gonna play. Let's just play
I
and learn the
forgot
course."
we played. I did have in my notes that I knew we went there, but had to turn around because of weather, but we did play. That's right.
I
So did you
remember
co-
that now, Amy. Now that you say that, that all kind of came back. Yeah.
So did you come
Yep.
back the next day or how'd that get rescheduled? Was it just the next
I mean,
day or how?
probably because we probably were, we had such little time because state
Yep.
was at, so
Were we still in school, guys? We probably had school the next day, didn't we? I don't even know.
I think
were
we
we
were
not?
still, because I think we graduated on a Sunday and I think state was that week right after graduation.
Okay.
Like the Tuesday, Wednesday, or like we left on Monday or something.
No, because you know what? My brother got married in the middle and I had to ride back with your parents, Amy, because my parents had to stay in Bettendorf and I rode back with you guys. And then we got to Britt. I rode back with you guys. So there was, I think, a week in there and then the state was like June 1st or 2nd or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I remember riding back with your parents, Amy.
So what was that feeling like when you guys won that meet and knew you were going to state? At that point, did it sink in a little bit that it was happening, or was it still just, we get to play another couple rounds of golf?
I remember being super excited after regionals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was exciting. Yeah. It was fun.
So the week leading up to the state meet, did you guys do anything differently? Did you have any pep rallies or gatherings or anything like that, or just got as many rounds in as you could? Did you go play the state meet course?
Didn't we have a send off, you guys, from when you guys left from the country club, didn't we? I'm trying to remember sending you guys off.
I don't remember that. I mean, I remember obviously the big homecoming, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, but I don't remember this.
I don't either.
I don't remember leaving either.
No.
I don't, because school was done. Because
Okay.
yeah,
It would have been.
it would have been done. So I just remember, I don't even know, did we leave from the country club?
I thought you did. And and you had the van, and wasn't there something like there was an animal on the van or something? Like, don't you remember that? You guys, wasn't there like I
think we took the station wagon, which that actually wouldn't make sense though, with all the stuff we would have had to take.
We would have had more stuff in there. We
Yeah.
would have had to take.
We
more.
must have been in the van.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just remember there being some hubbub because there was like some sort of animal on the van or something. I don't know. I don't know.
I just, after we won that and realized we were going to state, Mr. G was kind of like, okay, go ahead and take your moment and celebrate and so forth, but we got work to do, and he let us have our moment, but he also kept us grounded and just was like, okay, we got to start practicing. And we just kind of fell right back into the routine. He really didn't get crazy about it, so we didn't either.
Yeah.
Then we were going off to state.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
got a
because I don't
random.
remember it being any different. I think we just kept on practicing it, but it wasn't anything real different. We just,
No,
yeah, okay.
just kept doing the
That's
same
what we were
thing.
doing. Yeah.
I did read this article and I don't know what newspaper it's out of, but it's a really nice article and we're in a lot of it. I'll just hold it up super quick. But it's covering the entire state and all the classes of girls golf. But I think because we were making history, they write a lot about our team. But do you girls remember Newman was going too? We
Yeah.
never played Newman during the regular season, but they were going, and this article writes about them too. They were making their 3rd straight appearance. And I just remember going, oh, we're getting Newman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we did, and I remember
We
at the
did.
state
We
tournament, the
did.
Newman coach came by and he was gracious. He congratulated us. You know, but that like Newman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope, things don't change apparently, because that was always us too in any sport, was get Newman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Random question that's not in the notes. You said Mr. G would drive you guys to the meets. Was he a good driver, unlike Coach Sanger wasn't back in the day? Was he just pretty calm keel like he always is?
We're too busy chatting and eating
Yeah.
corn nuts.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Could have been halfway off the road and not noticed. So
Yeah,
if you've
I
ever
don't,
noticed on any of the other episodes, I always drink a Mountain Dew during these to honor Coach Sanger, because he would chug a Mountain Dew while driving the bus or a van to track meets and be
God.
watching the crops more than the road. So I was just curious if all the Britt teachers were terrible drivers or if he was a safe one for you. So
I think we were so involved in what was going on maybe that day at school or whatever. We were just chatting about what was going on, I think.
We probably drove him.
And he probably just didn't even, he probably was listening, but just drove because,
Yeah.
you know.
right.
yep, just a bunch of banter. Yep.
Yep.
So let's go to the state tournament. It was at Spencer Country Club. There were 6 teams there. You guys obviously won it with a 762. Next behind that was Avoha, which is
Oh,
now
yeah.
AHSTW. They had an 812, so you guys were 50 strokes ahead of them. Sanborn, which is HMS now, 821. Newman, 829. I'd say you guys handily got them. Midland, Wyoming, 869. And Pleasantville, close to where I live now, 913. It was a 2-day meet, 36 holes. You guys won by 50 over Avoha at second place. And then the last place team, you guys are 151 shots ahead from first to last. So just
Wow.
going back to the conference meet with, like I was saying, with you were ahead, you only won by like 50 from first to last. First to last at state was 151 strokes. So, and then in the newspaper article, you were the only team to improve your score from day 1 to day 2. Everyone else, their scores got worse from day 1 to day 2. This is your first trip to state. Like you said, Newman was already at state a couple times. What were the nerves like? What were the emotions like before, during, after? What was going through all your heads there?
I thought that course was amazing. Their bunkers were something we have never seen before and knew we didn't want to go in them. I remember all of our parents being there, and there were some of us, and I don't remember which one of the girls, but they didn't want their parents following them, and I wanted them. I'm like, come with me. You know, I just seemed to do better, and it was more calming to have them be there.
It was nice that all of our parents were there for the meet. That was so much fun.
It was fun. I was super nervous. It was a super hard course. I think I was the 4th scorer for that tournament. So again, it's just how our team rolled. Other people filled in where needed. But like I've got pictures of parents holding binoculars. I remember Amy's dad kept, anytime we'd come through the clubhouse for a bathroom break or whatever, he had a bag of Hershey candy bars. You need a candy bar? What do you need? Do you need pop? What can I get you? I mean, that was just so fun, because we really didn't get that, because our meets during the season were right after school. So, I mean, maybe conference they'd show up, or if it was a home meet, they'd come out at the very end as we were getting our, but that was a pretty special experience. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool. And even outside of, I mean, do you guys remember short shooting Mr. G's bed at the hotel room?
Oh, yes.
I remember that. And the joke was we thought he wouldn't notice.
And you guys, we were up so late.
I know.
We had 2 days of golf. I mean, we were up late that night before the second day of golf.
Yep. And I think I remember through like somebody would sneak up because it was one of those hotels that had the outdoor entrance. Remember
Yeah.
somebody
Yep.
like knocking on his door and then they slid to the side and somebody else, he'd answer it and we'd toss ice in his room. And he'd just laugh and was like, yeah.
But do you guys
matching
remember
underwear.
like where we ate for dinner or breakfast? I don't even remember that. What did we eat for dinner and breakfast?
I have
Whatever
no
it
idea.
was, it must have worked. So
It must have. I do not remember that. That's just.
I don't either. Just a few moments at the hotel, the fun little things we did with Mr. G, obviously a lot at the golf course and our underwear excursion.
Yep. That was about it.
yeah, I was told maybe not to ask that, but I might as well. The matching underwear. What was the deal with that?
We
Who's
must have
gonna-
thought we had to match.
It was just
we didn't really have I think we got him after day one, girl.
Yes. Was there a
Because we-
Shopko or a Kmart or something?
yeah.
Yes. And we
And
didn't
it was
have
just
like a matching shirt or like some other teams had, I don't know if they had uniform. I feel like that's maybe why we did it. I don't know. Does that sound right?
I
it was
think
just
so
one
because
of our crazy moves. And we all
because
said,
I thought
let's
we
do
just
it.
wore, we didn't have team shirts. So I
Yeah.
think we were dressing in like white and red, weren't we?
We did try to go with that theme. I think you're right. Yes. Because the shirt I have on is actually when we did the parade of champions the
Yes.
following year,
Yes,
the girls basketball
exactly.
tournament. That's what this shirt's from.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
So when my second son started getting into golf, my mom mailed this picture.
Oh, God, that's so nice.
Yeah.
And she,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
to Zachary, but it hangs on my refrigerator. Zach's like, why would I want that? And I'm like, okay, I do. But yeah, we didn't have uniforms. We kind of just wore red and white,
That's what I,
however we
yeah,
wanted.
Yeah, we did.
we did.
I'm trying to
So,
find a picture. If I have one of all five of us from day, I'm sure I do in here somewhere.
Because I'm
While
like,
she's
did we have any jackets that were Britt jackets? We didn't really have a uniform. We just went out and played golf. Yeah.
You can kind of.
That's why we got the underwear.
Yeah, you're right,
Just the
Tammy.
underwear.
You're
Yep.
right.
Amy, were you on when I was talking about your dad and the Hershey bars?
Yes.
Okay, you can hear me. I
Yep,
couldn't
yeah.
see you. I thought you had slid off.
Yes. Am I in video? I mean, can you see
Yeah.
me?
Yep.
No,
Yep. You're good.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, your dad was so great.
Yeah.
Yep. The scores I found from the newspaper article from State, Mona led with a 185, Tammy had a
Oh, Mona.
186, Amy had a 196, Sandy shot a 197, and Lisa a 209. So what I noticed just in my breaking down the season was that Sandy kind of led most of the way, and you said maybe looking at that clipboard on the way to State jinxed you a little bit, but you weren't at the top like usual, and like you guys said, just the next person just kind of picked up and took over. So that's a sign of a
And
great
it was,
team
I
that-
mean, it was a team effort. We weren't there to be medalists. We were there as a team. So if someone, and that's how we worked the whole year. If someone struggled, somebody picked up, and that's just how we rolled.
Mm-hmm.
How close was Mona to medalist? Like, do you guys remember what the winning score was or how close she would have been?
I did find that. She had a 185, but the 1A medalist was Heather, and I remember her. She had red hair. Heather Deakey from DeWitt, or Deek, however you say it. She had a 159.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, and I don't know if she was there just as a medalist or if DeWitt was there. Maybe.
No, I didn't see them on the list.
Yeah.
She must have been as an
She was-
individual. So yeah, that's-
Mona had a great state tournament. I mean,
She-
hello.
She did. She had an awesome
Yeah.
state tournament. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's just how it went. See,
Mhm.
she picked it up. Yep, where we
Yeah.
needed her.
Yep. And then I was reading in the article, a caravan with fire trucks led you guys back home. About
Yeah.
200 people attended a reception at the golf course. One thing that is cool to me is in '86 there wasn't Facebook. You couldn't just put something on Facebook and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, the kids will be back at the course at 7 o'clock. Make sure you're there by 6:30."
Yeah.
I just love picturing like it took one phone call to call someone, and they called someone, and they called someone, and it was just people probably just blasting the information out, and then, I mean, 200
Well,
people. That's pretty neat.
Dan, I think I can speak to that a little bit because I remember sitting at the club those 2 days, waiting for phone calls from, whoever's mom or dad was going to call us and let us know what was going on. And we had a board up at the country club with the scores on it that we, filled in after the day, and we were watching the scores come in and just pins and needles waiting, because you're right, there was no Facebook, there was no internet, there was no cell phones, there was nothing. And I just remember we were all on pins and needles, just, waiting to hear what was going to happen. And
Yeah.
it was so exciting. Yeah, look at that. Yep.
That's
Oh,
cool.
I got to show this picture of Amy.
I love that thing. That's a neat old piece of paper with all the scores.
Yeah,
on
and
it, hole by hole.
Jolynn gave me that, Dan, when, I don't know when you gave me that, Jolynn, but it was I've got it in my bin of stuff, and I'm so glad you gave it to me, but I've got it, and that's the
Yeah.
official scorecard from state, so.
Yeah. Yep.
That's neat.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Quick question.
So I
for Amy.
remember,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
us girls coming home, and we truly did not think, as what I recall, that anybody cared about us. We did not think that anybody was gonna, do anything for us. We were just gonna come home. And I know Mr. G had his hands in this and he was keeping it a secret, but when we came up over that hill and we saw those line of cars, we were like, what's going on? And here it was for us.
Yeah.
And we're like, no way. And it was
Yeah.
it was crazy, because we really truly didn't feel that we did anything big, but apparently we did.
Well, what was interesting to me was, being out at the country club as much as I was waiting for you guys, like it was all the older guys that would come out and just golf, they were just golfers, but, older community members, old guys, and they were interested. They wanted to know what was going on. Everybody wanted to know what was going on with you guys. And, we were all invested in you. And it's, I wish you had felt that more, but yeah, it was a big deal for the whole community.
Yeah.
Tammy,
I just
do
remember-
We got home for sure.
I do remember us talking in the back, when we came home, and Mr. G had to have known there was something going on. And he's just
Yeah.
like, as we got closer to Britt, we're like, oh, I don't know, no one's going on. And then the fire truck, and we drove
Yeah.
down Main Street with the
Yeah.
whole parade.
Yeah.
And then, I know we were back there, and he had to have known, oh, just wait, you guys.
Yeah.
I know. Again, we're probably driving him crazy on the drive home, going, nobody even knows we won.
I remember that.
Please.
Now that you say that, I do remember that now, Tammy. It was just like I kind of forgot. Yeah.
Because, with me being a wrestling cheerleader, I was always down at state, and then we would come home, with our champion wrestlers, and there was always something big that was going to be at the high school. You just knew it.
Right.
But golf
Mhm.
was just not, and we just really didn't think anything was happening. And I remember seeing Don Finch at the country club that was here, and he gave me the biggest hug, and he said, now you know what it feels to be like a champ. And I was just like, damn, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was
Yep.
right. It's
Yep.
something, my dad was the state champion in wrestling, and now we've got the golf.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Amy, I was going to ask you real quick. You and Mona were sophomores. How'd you guys do your last 2 years of high school in golf?
I don't have a scrapbook of all this. We did well the next year, but I don't remember what level we got to. I wish I'd had more time to research that. And I was hoping Mona would be here because she'd have remembered it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't quite we didn't have enough of the numbers like we had on this team.
Yeah.
But it was a good group. Oh,
Yeah.
Sandy's showing pictures. I'm not quite
Oh my
sure.
gosh, look at
You
that.
guys see?
Oh, that's a great picture of you and Mona.
I
Oh my
know. I'm like,
gosh.
we gotta show Mona. We gotta show our stage.
Yeah.
queen.
Awesome.
I got another. Did you see this one of you, Amy, in the Mountain Dew?
Yeah.
Oh, that's,
Amy, you look exactly the same too. Like, how did that
And then
happen?
I just love that pic. That's Mr. G with Tammy, and that's just such a classic Mr. G pic.
yeah,
He's just probably telling her, "Good job, girl." Whether she did well or did, I mean, you
yeah.
just knew he was going to be a voice of support at the end, no matter what.
He
And-
really didn't have a lot of words. Oh,
He
He
just
did.
wanted everybody to be, he wanted
Yeah.
calm. He always wanted
yeah, he
everybody to
was.
take a deep breath. You know, he wanted to diffuse any situation.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
That kind of
that's nice.
segues. Oh, yeah. Kind of
Look at
segues
that.
into the next part. We'll get to Mr. G real quick here. But there a lot of your former teachers are going to be watching this because I've talked to several who really enjoy these. Any other teachers that you guys had at Britt that influenced you, or you wanna mention or talk about real quick before we get to Mr. G? Because we have lots of them. I mean, we could spend an hour on this section alone, but real quick, anyone you wanna to call out quick?
Oh,
Al DeLeon.
yeah.
Yep, he's
Mr.
my next.
Brown.
His son is my next guest. John DeLeon
Yeah.
will be on
Oh,
the next
nice.
episode. So
Yeah.
yep.
Mr.
For
Brum.
Oh, Mr. Brown.
I mean, there's
yeah.
so many good
There's
ones.
so
So
many
many.
good ones.
Yeah, I mean, that whole, because it was when Dad started teaching, it was Mr. Brum, Mr. Beach, they all started teaching together, and
Mhm.
we were so fortunate to have that whole group. Mr. Timmerman, oh, Mr. Jailberg, they were all just phenomenal teachers. We were so lucky.
Yep.
One of my favorite teachers was Mr. G. I still remember things I learned in his class. He was definitely, whatever he was teaching me, it stuck. I don't know why,
Yep.
but he just was good at what he did.
Mhm,
I would agree.
mhm.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I was a non-science guy. Science and math were not my thing. And he sat me down once and he's like, "You're gonna learn this stuff." And I'm like, "Yes, sir." Like, you had that way about him, just like Coach Sanger and Mr. Pauls and those guys. He was like, "You're gonna do this," and you did it, not out of fear or out of whatever. It was the respect that we had for all those teachers. So, yeah. So yeah, let's get to Mr. G here. He passed away in 2007. I'll never forget when he passed. I was at Central College in Pella, and it was finals week, and I rearranged my finals to make sure I got back for the visitation. He just meant a lot to me, even as a college kid. So I was just really wanting to do this episode with you guys and get Jolynn on here as well. So Mr. G graduated from Corwith Wesley in 1959. He played center field on the 2-time state championship baseball team. I did not know that until I was doing
Yep.
this.
Yep.
Then he went to the Northern Iowa Teachers College and then started teaching biology in Britt in 1963. So he even preceded Coach Sanger and Mrs. Sanger and some of those other ones. He was there even before that. He taught for nearly 43 years. And it says in his obituary, he encouraged and inspired a large number of his students to careers in the medical and science fields. He had the pleasure of coaching girls golf with the 1986 state team, taking it all the way to the state championship. I think that's neat that that's included in that. He was on the Britt City Council, Lions Club, and Park Board, and then survived by John, Jeff, Jolynn, Sherry, Ziegler, Chris and Eric Cooley, and several grandkids as well. So besides the golf stuff too, you've told a lot of stories about that. What else can you say about Mr. G that you want to share out?
Well, I remember, and I think it was so special because Joey was a part of our group and that was her dad. And he took us kids in as if we were his daughters too. So he liked us stopping and visiting. We would go to Joey's and, we'd walk over and go see, Dad and Lila. That was just growing up, so I mean, when he became our coach, he just was a dad to us. So we had a lot of visits at his house and probably got in some trouble a few times at his house, but he was just part of our family, because Joe, that was Joey's dad.
Yeah. I found a card from him that he gave me at graduation. So it said, Lisa, thanks for the good times. I feel very privileged to have the opportunity to be your coach, teacher, and friend. You know that if you need some help in the future, I will do what I can. Keep up the good work and continue to enjoy life. Bob Grandgenett. That's what he wrote. I kept his card.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he was just like that. He was a great guy, you know? Yep.
Was
Yeah.
a great guy. And I remember, you know, because 3 of us left and went off to college after that season. And, but then we all came back the following February or March to do the parade of champions.
Love that. Oh my
Walk,
God.
whatever.
Let me see,
And,
let's
but we
see that again.
do it again. I'm sorry.
Oh my
Look at that.
No, but what I remember, you know, it's like even with him, I mean, clearly we're all going to pick up and we would talk and see each other. But I mean, I probably hadn't really seen Mr. G since I graduated, maybe, or whatever. But anyway, my point being is we all picked up that February or March and had such a fun weekend together. I have funny stories from that weekend too. I mean, me being brand new and only being with you guys for a year, and then this man who was this amazing coach and father. I mean, I just felt like we were this family.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like he was a good teacher in that he would, when I was like, let's say I'm on number 4, so I'm far away from the clubhouse, but he can see me teeing off. And then after I get back up to the clubhouse, he'll correct me on my swing very nicely, like, hey, I think you were just reaching a little far out. I'm like, you saw that all the way back there? And then I corrected it and he was right. And I'm just like, okay, you should be the coach. So, but just a great, I mean, huge heart, just loved him. I think we all do. I don't know who wouldn't, and just thankful that he was a part of our experience. Very,
Yep.
very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did
And
he
we
ever,
won't go into detail, but that trip that we just did down in Des Moines, that was a blast.
It was so fun.
It was so much fun.
yeah.
It was so
a
much
great,
fun, you
great
guys.
reunion for sure.
Yep. It was.
Yeah.
do you guys ever remember Dad? Because so this is one of the reasons why I didn't go out for golf, because I couldn't be coached by my dad. But do you ever remember he would grab my hair? Because I always pulled my head. Like I was always pulling my head. And he would grab my hair. He would stand across from me while I'm swinging, and he would hold my head in place while I was swinging so I wouldn't pull my head. Did he ever do that to any of you guys, or no? No, probably not. He saved those for me. Yeah.
Maybe they didn't pull their head. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Another reason why I shouldn't have been on the golf team.
One thing I really respected about him, I got him at the end of his career. He retired after my junior year in 2004. So, I mean, he had, like I said, 1963 to 2004. I've been a teacher for 12 years now, and I've seen a lot of end of career teachers, and they're not very happy people to be around sometimes. And your dad was going through some health problems even then, and he never used it as an excuse. He never took it as a, I'm almost done, who cares? I mean, every day I felt like he cared. And that's what I really appreciated about him. And then my sister played golf for him. She went out all 4 years and never played varsity until the last varsity meet of the season before conference. They went up to Gruce up in Buffalo Center, where my family's from, and he let her be on the varsity as the number 6 golfer. In a 9-hole meet, she shot 136 on a par 36. My sister went up to Mr. G after the meet and said, "You don't have to play me in varsity meets anymore." He looked at her and said, "Wasn't planning on it." So she still remembers that, and my dad definitely still remembers it. He goes, "Thank you for not playing her anymore. That didn't need to be in the newspaper." So he just
That was rough.
had that way about him. I enjoyed that. So
He probably put his arm around her and said it in a super gentle, fatherly way.
yep, it was just calm, and yep. So that was time. And yeah, so we all love Mr. G, and I'm glad he got to be a part of so many of our lives. So
Yeah.
just real glad, Jolynn, I got you on here as well. It's been fun.
Thank
So
you. I really appreciate it.
yeah.
He loved that school. he dedicated his life to teaching. He loved it, and coaching, and it was his passion. And, you know, that's why he came back after, you know, he lost his larynx, and he still wanted, he couldn't stop teaching. He had to try to come back, and he was passionate about it, and it was quite an example to me. So,
Yep.
yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap things up here. Before we do though, I'm just kind of give people a rundown of what's coming up next. John DeLeon, son of Al DeLeon, we just mentioned. And then I have the Goepels, Nate Schreur, the 1980 Girls State Basketball Championship team, Chad Trolson, Chuck Boozman, Russ King, who was the coach before Coach Sanger, Aaron Rasmussen, and then this fall I'm going to have the 96 State Football Championship team come on before the first football game, Rod Barkema from Kanawha, and then I just added 4 new episodes. Ann Hagen, super fan, Brent Hagen, state champion wrestler, Jason Harley was a good track runner and football player from the late 90s. And then Dwayne Cook was a 2-time state champ from the 70s for wrestling I'm going to talk to. So
That's awesome.
again, thanks
Oh,
to
yeah.
Sean DeWard for sponsoring this episode. Go to sangerstrong.com if you want to sponsor an episode coming up here. And I think one thing we need to do before we sign off here is encourage some girls at West Hancock to go out for golf. We got to get a golf team going again there. So,
Oh, yeah.
any last remarks or anything you want to throw out there or say hi to anybody before we hit the stop button on the record here?
I do want to say say hello to one person. So it's kind of a small world, but when I moved to Florida, I met Angie Lansing, who was in my wedding, and her brother is your AD now. And he came
Steve,
from, yep, Steve Lansing is the AD. And just a small world, how I roomed with Angie and then Steve moved to Britt. How crazy
Cool.
is that?
Yeah.
Yep, whenever I venture up
sounds
to
like he's
Britt,
doing
I
a fine
end up
job.
seeing him. So
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, awesome.
And
Anybody
Wayne
else wanna-
Croneman is the administrator.
Yep, he's the superintendent now. Wayne Croneman.
Wait.
Yep.
Croneman from Britt.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh my
he
God.
would have been, my brother Tim's age.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
All right.
very good. Well, thanks, Dan. This
You
was
bet.
fun getting to see everybody and
You
and
bet.
reminisce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good times. All right, thanks everybody, and thanks for watching. And go Eagles, go Eagles, I should say, back in the day.
Yes.
So, yeah. All right, see
We
you
really
everybody.
appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, thank you
thank
very
you.
much. It was so much fun talking about all this that
Mhm.
year. It was a lot of
Thank
fun.
you guys.